At the beginning of each section, we'll give you some of the vocabulary we're going to use in that section. This is the vocabulary that is not the main topic of the section, it's the additional words we use in examples. Don't hesitate to rewind and go over the words again. The vocabulary sections are easy to spot as you rewind. When you see this V graphic, you'll know what's coming up.
When you see the V, get ready for vocabulary. And when you want to rewind and review, you can easily find the vocabulary sections by looking for the V.
In Spanish, a zoo is called a zoológico. Monkeys are called monos and snakes are called culebras. Plátanos is the Spanish word for bananas.
Plátanos.
Por favor means please.
Another word we'll use in this section is the verb I. I means there is or there are. Don't worry about conjugations or details associated with this verb right now. You'll learn all that in more advanced Spanish classes. We're telling you about it now, though, because even introductory Spanish classes use the verb I, so you should be familiar with it. Just remember, when you see I, translate it as there is or there are.
If you watched the Salsarific World of Spanish Part 1, you learned how to count from 0 to 99. Now, we'll teach you 100 to 1 million.
Remember, if you already know how to count, then learning the numbers in Spanish is just like learning vocabulary, man.
When you learned the numbers 1 through 99, you first learned to count from 1 to 29. Then you memorized the multiples of 10 and tacked on the appropriate single-digit number.
For example, to say 76 in Spanish, you say 76. 70 is 70, the multiple of 10, and 6 is 6. Remember, you have to use y, which means and, between multiples of 10 and single digits.
For the numbers between 100 and 1000, you just have to memorize the multiples of 100, then tack on the appropriate multiple of 10 and single-digit number. Here, we'll show you. Let's start with 100 through 119.
100, 101, 102.
Whoa, break for a second. There are a couple of things to look at here. First, you don't put the E after the multiples of 100. E only goes between the multiples of 10 and the single-digit numbers. We'll point that out again later. Second, did you notice that 100 is 100, but 101 is 101, and 102 is 102? That's no mistake, folks. That's how it works in Spanish. We'll explain.
When you want to say 100, just 100, the word is 100. For instance, to count from 98 to 100, you'd say 98, 99, 100. You also use 100 before a noun when you want to talk about 100 of something. For instance, to say 100 bananas, you'd say 100 plátanos.
You don't have to worry about using genders for 100. You can use masculine or feminine nouns. Also, since it's already plural, you don't have to change the form. 100 already means 100, so it's already plural.
But when you're counting numbers between 101 and 199, use ciento.
Ciento.
With an O on the end.
If you and your friend go cow tipping and you want to tell your friend how many cows there are in the pasture for your tipping pleasure, you can say, hay 100 vacas, which means there are 100 cows. If you just want to say there are 100, say, hay 100. If there are 101 cows, say, hay 101 vacas. Or you can say, hay 101.
The standard deviants don't endorse cow tipping. It's messy, dangerous, and not very nice.
Now let's run through numbers between 101 and 119. Between 101 and 109, use ciento with the single-digit number you need, like this.
101, 102, 103, 104, and so on up to 109. It's real easy.
Notice we didn't use y between ciento and the single-digit number. You don't need it there like you do when you tack a single-digit number onto a multiple of 10, like 52, which means 52. Now we'll show you the numbers 110 to 119.
110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120.
Just tack ciento onto the numbers 1 through 99, which you've already learned, right?
Those of you who haven't learned the numbers 1 to 99, go back to Part 1 and review. Those of you who have, quit gloating.
Now we'll show you the multiples of 100. Then we'll practice writing some numbers with the multiples of 100.
As we go over them, notice that all of the multiples of 100, starting with 200, end in S. That's because when you do a literal translation of the Spanish numbers, you say 100, then 200s, then 300s, then 400s, and so on and so on. When there's more than 100, well, you say hundreds in the plural form. Pay attention.
200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900.
There's a gender issue with the numbers between 200 and 900. When you use these numbers before a noun, the hundreds place number has to agree in gender with the noun. Only the hundreds place number has to agree in gender. Here's an example.
Hay 216 monos y 642 culebras en el zoológico.
Let's look closely at how the number 216 works with the noun monos.
How do we do that? We do it by ending the word with os. The S is always there since we're talking about 200s, and the O makes it masculine. Notice it's only the multiple of 100 that has to match in gender with the noun. None of the other components of the number change to match gender. Now we'll look at the number 642 as it's used with the noun culebras.
Culebras, which means snakes, is feminine, so we end 600 or 600 with AS. The A makes it feminine to match culebras, and the S makes it plural. Only 600 has to match in gender with culebras. 42 does not.
We'll say it one more time. The hundreds places between 200 and 900 will always be plural, so they will always end in S. Just make the ending AS to go with a feminine noun,
or OS to go with a masculine noun.
Hey, now you can count to 900 with style and grace. Here comes 1,000. Now, the word for thousand in Spanish is mil. Now, don't confuse this with the English word million. In Spanish, you count the thousands just like you do in English. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and so on, like this.
1000, 2000, 3000.
There are two things to notice here. First, when you're talking about more than 1,000, mil doesn't become plural like the hundreds place number does. The thousands place numbers translate like they do in English, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and so on.
The second thing to notice is that when we wrote numbers in the thousands, we used a period instead of a comma after the thousands place. That's the way Spanish speakers generally write the numbers, with periods instead of commas.
It's just another one of those conventions you have to get used to. Here's what 100,000 looks like.
100,000.
100,000 uses 100, which means 100, before 1000, which means 1,000. Use the form 100 rather than ciento because you're talking about a single hundred.
The number 102,000 would be 102,000. In this case, you use the form ciento for 100. It's just as if you're counting between 101 and 199. Anything over 100 is ciento. With numbers in the thousands, you're just tacking the mil on the end to indicate a number in the thousands.
A customer says his chimichanga isn't cooked enough.
It's ridiculous. Just throw some hot sauce on it and give it back to him. Yeah, give it to me. Stupid will never know the difference. For numbers 200,000 and above, use the appropriate multiple of 100 before mil. Okay, it's as easy as, putting a little hot sauce on it like this. Hey, give it back to him.
200,000, 300,000, 400,000.
400,932.
We pitched you a curve with that last number. Remember, you're counting just like we do in English. Just learn the vocabulary. That last number breaks down like this.
400,932.
The Spanish word for million is millón. When you get into millions, you have to make millón plural, since you're talking about more than 1 million, like you did with hundreds. The plural of millón is millones. Notice the singular form of the word has an accent, and the plural form does not.
So that's really all you need to know about millions. It's easy, man, right? All you need to do is tack on the number of millions to the word millón or millones. That's it. It's simple. Check it out, man.
1.000.000, 2.000.000, 16 millones, 492 millones, 300.945.
Just think about how you put numbers together in English, and keep in mind these simple rules.
When you want to say 100, just 100, the word is cien. When you're talking about more than 100 starting with 101, use the word ciento. Starting with 200, the hundreds places get an S on the end like 200, 300, and so forth. One more thing about the hundreds place numbers is that if they are paired with a noun, they have to match in gender with the noun they modify.
For the thousands place numbers, use the word mil to indicate thousands, whether you have one or more thousands. The thousands place number does not become plural when you have more than 1,000, nor do you have to consider gender with the thousands place numbers.
Millions are also very easy. A single million is millón with an accent, and for more than 1 million, use the word millones.
Section B, time dripping.
Hey, keep in mind, you're not learning intergalactic moon man language here.
This is Spanish. Things like counting and telling time and talking about seasons and dates. And they work more or less the same way in Spanish as they do in English. It's really just the words, the vocabulary, and a few little details that differ. I mean, it shouldn't turn your brain to salsa or nothing. Ah, I love salsa. Ha!